So unless you've been living under a literal rock for a while now, you've probably heard of the DJI Pocket 3, and I'm sure you've probably heard the hype surrounding it. So today I'm going to talk to those of you who, for whatever reason, haven't decided to pick it up yet and decide, does a Pocket 3 make sense in 2025? So what I've got here when I purchased the Pocket 3 is I got the Creator Combo. Now that comes with a variety of different accessories in here, but I do want to let you know you can also just get the camera itself. So those are the options that you get from DJI. Really, that's up to you, depending on maybe you already have some of these accessories or something that can work for that. Maybe you don't need the bag or whatever the case may be. However, I'm going to talk about the camera, all the features in the camera. I'm also going to talk about the accessories and everything that comes along with the Creator Combo. So starting with just the camera, the first thing you're going to notice is just the form factor. Probably not surprising, it's called the Pocket 3, third iteration of the DJI Pocket, and it is pretty tiny. It also comes with this little hard case here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but it adds a little bit of a protective layer, so if you want to actually put this in your pocket, you can feel a little better about that, because the one thing that you must know about the Pocket, if you haven't really dug into the specifics of what this camera offers, it is not only a tiny camera, but it's also a tiny gimbal. Pretty cool. So let's talk a little bit about who this camera is for. If you're somebody who wants to shoot high quality footage, and maybe you shoot for social media or just day-to-day shooting, but you're not necessarily a professional, however, you want your footage to be professional enough you can get away with that, this is a great camera for that, especially if you're shooting anything where it might require some really smooth footage. Again, you're gonna have a built-in gimbal, which is gonna offer some really great results when it comes to getting smooth cinematic footage. Let's start off by digging into the menu here, but before I do, I just want to point out the couple of buttons that you find on here. It's pretty simple. You've got the left-hand side, which has a joystick, which can be pressed, and also you can move the knob around as well. Now, when you click the joystick 3 times, it's going to spin around on that gimbal head, and you can also flip it 3 more times, bring it right back to you, which is cool. If you're out here shooting, making social media content, or if you're maybe doing a home tour, if you're a real estate agent, you can shoot yourself talking about the home and just flip that thing right around and say, you know, in this kitchen right here, guys, you know, it's that kind of camera that can be really versatile, and it offers that kind of quick shooting ability to just change the scene as quickly as you need to. Now on the right-hand side is the record button. Pretty self-explanatory, so let's hop into the menu. We'll start off by just talking about the different video settings, the options that you have here. So you've got a standard video setting. You can shoot in a panoramic or standard photo. It takes some decent photos, but it is definitely more so a video camera. And so your video settings, you've got just your standard video, you've got your low light, and you've got slow motion. So slow motion, you can shoot in 4K all the way up to 120 frames per second. You can shoot in 2.7K all the way up to 120 frames per second. And in 1080, you can actually shoot all the way up to 240 frames per second. So this thing will absolutely not only shoot really smooth footage just in general, but it's going to get some buttery smooth slow motion. And then one additional setting under there you're going to find is going to be your hyperlapse or motion lapse or time lapse. It's all on one button. You can switch between those, and you've got some custom settings. I'm not going to go over a full demo with that, but it's just nice to know that that actually has an option to shoot that way in here, and you can get some really cool footage that way. Now in the top corners of the screen, on the top left, you're going to find the amount of storage that you have in terms of time that you have left of filming, and that's going to change depending on which resolution you're shooting in, of course, and the file size. On the top right corner, you're going to have a battery indicator. You're going to notice there's 2 battery indicators. We'll get to that here in a little bit, but the main one in the corner is the one for the actual camera itself. So there is an internal battery on here. It is not removable, but there is, of course, charging capability on here. This thing can charge all the way from a dead battery all the way up to 80%, and I think like 22 minutes or something. It's very fast. But additionally, if you opt for the Creator Combo, you're going to get an extended battery handle. We'll talk a little more about that here in a little bit. So let's slide into the right-hand slide-in menu, and you're going to find the exposure, where you can adjust into manual settings your exposure if you want to do it that way, or you can leave it on auto. You've also got your white balance, which you can do in, of course, auto, or you can set it manually. You got some glamour effects, which I've never really opted to use those, but some people will like that has an option there for that. And then on this camera, on the Pocket 3, you've actually got 3 color modes. You've got normal color mode, you've got an HLG, and then you've got their signature D-Log M packed into this camera, which allows you to shoot in a log-like footage, and you can really do a lot of really cool color grading with that. Again, won't go into a demo on that, but if you like to shoot a log footage that gives you a little more control when it comes to color grading, that's going to be an option in this camera. And then you can adjust your focus from, single focus or continuous. And there's also a product showcase on this camera, which is a really nice feature to have. You've got some image adjustments where you can adjust your sharpness or your noise reduction. And also, if you get the Pocket 3, you're definitely going to want to download the DJI Mimo app, which allows you to control the camera from your phone. And some people prefer to do that all the time time because it gives you a nice big screen. Now it's great that there is a screen monitor on this camera. I think that's one of the best features on it, but sometimes you do want something a little bit bigger to look at, and that's where that comes in handy. I definitely use it all the time. Now, I don't want to go through every single feature up here, but just going to briefly run over the settings from the top here. You can set different profiles up and it'll save settings. Use that to save your own personal individual settings. For instance, I have a setting that's set for 4K 30, and then I have another setting that's 4K 30 in log, and then I've got another one set at 4K 60 in log if I'm shooting things like B-roll and I want the option to have a little bit of slow motion. Now, when it comes to the gimbal options, you can select the type of gimbal mode that you're going to shoot with. You've got your follow mode, which is kind of your go-to for most people. You've got your tilt locked, which if you want to have the horizon steady as you're doing panning shots, it's a great option. You've got your FPV mode, which allows you to move a little more freely. And then you've got your alternate FPV mode, which really just allows the camera to shoot exactly what you're pointing at. So for instance, if you want to shoot something that's right below you on the ground, you can guarantee that the head of the camera is going to shoot directly towards the ground. That's the best option for a little more direct shooting like that. And then as far as gimbal options go, you can change the rotational speed. So you've got slow, default, which is right there in the middle, or fast. I usually just keep it in default, but every now and then I'll turn it to slow depending on what I'm shooting. Now under settings, there's a ton of different options, and there's the way to connect the DJI Mic 2, which we're going to discuss here shortly. But one last thing I want to talk about before we hop to that is the selfie mode. Now I usually just keep this on because I shoot a lot of vlog content. What that does is it naturally does lock onto your face, and this thing works exceptionally well. It's going to follow you to a pretty large degree. Now it's not going to cover 360 all the way around the camera, but it is going to give you a pretty wide range to walk back and forth, and so it kind of gives the illusion of almost having a camera person if you're out shooting content. It's a really great tool to have. And one last thing we should talk about in terms of the options is you can shift this with this button here from landscape to portrait. Now, it's important to know that 4K, that's the highest resolution you can shoot in a landscape. The highest resolution you're going to be able to shoot at in the portrait mode is going to be 3K. Now, I'm not going to do an entire tutorial on how to use this camera in every setting, but I will throw some footage up on the screen so you can kind of see the quality that comes out of this camera. For now, let's shut this thing down and talk about some of the accessories that come along with the Creator Combo. So to shut this down, all you're going to want to do is flip that screen, and now we're off. It's going to tuck its little gimbal head in, and then we can put it back here in this case. So I guess the first thing we should talk about in terms of the accessories is probably just the case. So again, it is a nice hard material, and it's kind of like a soft to the touch, but it's definitely a hard plastic. And then on the inside of that, you've actually got a couple of slots here. Now I've got a little ND filter that I like to use, but this does not come with the Creator Combo. So I'm setting that aside just for one moment. But this wide angle lens does actually come with the Creator Combo, and there's little slots in there for the wide angle lens and another slot for an ND filter if you want to take one on the go. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of footage of me talking to the camera without the wide angle lens on so you can see that field of view, and the wide angle lens so you can see the difference in that field of view. Definitely gives you a wider angle, but with that is going to come a little bit of lens distortion. Some people don't necessarily love that. For some people, that is a worthwhile compromise. So once you're done with that wide angle lens, you just pop it back into this little slot here. It's magnetic, so it just pops right in. And that is one of the accessories that comes along with this. Now you've got this cool little pouch here with the rest of the goodies, so let's just pull them out. You're gonna get a little mini tripod. One of the more crucial things about this, I think, that makes it honestly worth it getting the Creator Combo is this DJI Mic 2. What's great about that is that it automatically connects via Bluetooth, so you do have to jump into the menu initially to originally connect it, but once you've got it connected, every time you turn this thing on, if you flip this mic on, it's going to connect immediately, and you're ready to go. You just start filming. And then you've got the standard little base handle here, and so this is not a battery or extended battery at all. What it does allow is for you to have a 1/4-inch screw thread here so you can mount this to something, which is good to have because the camera itself does not have that. They've got to make this thing so small, and that's where the charging port is. For some reason, they've just decided to include this to achieve the 1/4-inch thread, and that 1/4-inch thread will allow you to connect to a little tripod or really anything you can mount this to. Now this comes with the Pocket 3 by itself. It is not just exclusive to the Creator Combo. And then additionally in this Creator Combo, you're going to get the extended battery handle here. And so this fits just like the base handle. You just click this thing in. It's got the little charging point out the back. It starts to draw from this handle first, and then it will start drawing from the camera itself. And I believe that the handle gives you somewhere around 50% additional charge. So it's nice to have. I always leave the house with this fully loaded, and that way I know that I've got at least 150% of the battery on hand. And both of these charge very quickly if you need to when you're out on the go. And much like you did with this base handle, you've got the 1/4 inch thread here, so we can put this little mini tripod down. Now again, you can get just the camera, or you can get this whole creator combo for a little bit more money. It just kind of depends on what your budget looks like, but if you can spring for it, I definitely recommend getting the creator combo. And the good thing is that you can really pack everything up here pretty nicely. So we'll take off this handle. Let's just pack this thing up. Then all of these are just gonna kind of stack into their own little pockets. And it's really just that easy. Just zip it up. Got a whole creator kit ready to go. This creator combo really does give you the option to go out and just create. So if you're in the market for a camera right now and you've been eyeing the Pocket 3 for some time now, I can tell you, at least in my experience, this thing lives up to every bit of the hype. So whether it's opting for just the camera alone or you want to go for this whole creator combo, you really can't lose. So if you want to pick one up, you'll find the links in the description. It is an affiliate link, so you will be supporting the channel, and I certainly appreciate that. And until next time, guys, I'll see you on the next one.